So this refrigerator never did, this refrigerator side never did get too cold, let's put it that way. And in the winter it was okay, but in the summer it wasn't good, and chocolate milk especially didn't last. Well, I finally figured out there's something wrong. And I was looking at this thing, and there wasn't much air coming out. And I fooled around a little bit, and then I compared. I saw somebody else that had the same fridge, and I put my hand up there and I said, oh, there's a lot of air coming out right there. And then I thought, you know, what would make the air come out? Because it's just like this. And I put a little fan in there too, even to try and make the air. Anyway, there's all kinds of air flowing. One thing they mention, if this doesn't work, you know, you got a problem. But there's all kinds of air flying around in here when it's running. The freezer gets real cold. And anyway, so I figured out, I looked at this other, I said, let me look at your freezer. So I looked at that other refrigerator, and it had a part right here. It went like this. Well, I figured, so that part, and see it attaches, there's a screw right there. So that part must have fallen off and they just threw it away. So I thought, well, this is kind of an older fridge. I think they're not making that part anymore. I looked briefly to find it, but I couldn't find it. So I'll make my own. Well, I make my own out of this. I get this ABS plastic. And I bent it. The reason I got it is because you can heat it and bend it. And I got a couple tricks also how to make a drill bit for it. I don't know, I might add it later. But anyway, I'm going to bolt it in there. I got blind fasteners in there, which they didn't nowadays hardware what blind fasteners were. But I'm going to bolt it in there and we'll see if it helps. Well, the only thing I'm concerned about, I know it's going to help, but the one thing I don't know is if this has a defrosting mechanism that isn't working. Because I could stick my finger in there and there was frost in there. Now of course there's no frost. So I still might have a problem, I don't know. But it needs this part because the air blows up out of here and then there's nothing to make it go in here the way it was. So anyway, that's what I'm working on. Oh, one other thing, I went to, well, I won't get into that. This piece could have been a little longer. It wasn't quite long enough, so I added this flap and just bolted it. And then I used longer bolts because I thought, oh, it could fall off. And then I used thread pack. I'll have to show you too how I made the drill to cut these holes. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how I made a drill bit to drill this plastic because plastic can chip when you drill it, and I've had that problem in the past. So I was looking online. This guy, he had a recommendation about how to modify a drill bit to so that it would drill this plastic. So what he said to do was, I'm not going to do it here. You can look on his video if you want. Turn the grinder on and turn the drill bit on and hold the drill bit against the grinder like that as it's turning. And I actually did do that initially. And of course then he explained too, the only thing you're doing is making more of a pointy edge. And then I decided, well, after all, I could make I ended up holding in my hand. Now what did I do with that drill? So I thought, well, after all, I could make a pointy drill bit. And so I just held it in my hand against the grinder like this. Like this. The grinder's turning this way and you hold it like this and put an edge on it. Put a nice edge on it. And I was wearing goggles and stuff. And then after you do it, you look at it, see if you've actually got an edge. That doesn't look too wonderful. That one looks a little better. I don't know if you can see it. I need a macro camera. But it doesn't have to be, you know, to cut steel you have to have like a perfect edge, but this plastic you don't have to, but it helps to have this pointy, it helps to be more pointy. And I had one other joke that I was going to say is like when you hold the whole drill body like I was showing you, when you do it like this and just turn the drill on and hold it like this, it says I'm not that country and I'm a little more city than that. You know that there's the country song, it goes well, if you want something, why don't you just lie, cheat, and steal to get it? And the guy says, well, I'm a little more country than that. But, so I'm a little more city than to hold that drill bit. But anyway, I don't really, I'll probably do future on this plastic. It's nice material to work with. I'm not real familiar with it. One thing, they were talking about gluing it with MEK, which is, that MEK is, it just evaporates so rapidly it's hard to keep it. I have used MEK before. It's a solvent. It melts that plastic, but as you saw in this case, I bolted it. Well, one reason I bolted it too is I'll be able to remove it. I was thinking in the winter it might get too cold, so if it does, I'll remove that piece of plastic. That's my plan. The piece of plastic that I bolted on, I mean, so they don't bust. But it's kind of soft anyway. You might be able to get away with a regular drill. I'm not sure. One reason I kind of didn't go overboard on making a video, because this is the first time I've worked with this material.